speaker who I'm super excited about. But before I do, just a few house cleaning items. So just a reminder, there'll be no videoing no videoing. So we'll have no videoing of the session. And then also, before or after the session, we do have to flip this room for another presentation. So if you just know coming up to the speaker after the presentation. If you want to, maybe outside, but in here we've got to flip this room. So we do have another presentation right after this. But I get the privilege of being here with this fine gentleman. I'm super excited about this presentation. Actually, I've been waiting for this presentation, so I'm excited to hear from him. This is Jacob O'Donnell. And he is a network marketing team leader and personal development coach who loves to write and has an amazing wife with 6 awesome children, which is a pretty amazing feat. Without any further ado, not to take up any more time, let's give a warm round of applause to Jacob O'Donnell.
Thank you all, and pleasant evening to you. Hope the line wasn't too bad for you guys. It looked nasty. My wife and I started in Young Living in 2012. Well, she started. I was a big skeptic. It took me a lot longer to come on board. But a little bit about myself. I've been in sales in different aspects for quite a while. And it wasn't until I finally came on board with my wife with her Young Living business, I saw her start to earn a decent check, and I thought, well, this could be something. So I'm going to look into this and see how I can help. And with my background in sales, there was a few things that I was suggesting to her to help her build her business. And I spent quite a bit of time in different sales aspects, one of which was door-to-door sales in college. And if any of you have done that, you know that you will meet every personality on the face of the earth if you knock on enough doors in the summer. So through my time doing that, I really developed an interest in people and understanding people from a sales aspect. And so I started talking to her and helping coach her with a few of our leaders in our team. But it hadn't morphed into this until I was listening to a call by a rather well-known Young Living leader. She was doing different training calls, and we tuned in and listened, and she got to the point where she described her business as a blue business, and her personality as a blue personality. And, I already knew she was upbeat, fun, very passionate. But I'd never heard of this blue thing. What was this? I hadn't heard of this. So I started looking into it, and I realized that there were actual personality colors that related directly to MLM. That's right. And that we kind of followed, as MLM people, we followed these colors and learned about them. So I started learning it, and in so doing, I developed a little bit of a system in not just identifying the colors, but in communicating with them, because communication has always been a passion of mine. Not just not just figuring out what somebody is, but how do you talk to them? How do you get your idea through to them? How do you inspire somebody that's not the same personality as you? So that's what actually started me on my path and led to me writing the book Full Spectrum Success. So for those of you, can I get a show of hands? Who knows what the personality colors are, for starters? Okay, probably a third to a half of the room almost. All right, so bear with me, you guys. I'm going to go through the colors briefly for those that aren't aware what they are. We're going to go through that. I'm going to explain what they are. Then we're going to break into why they actually matter from a team building standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, how it best functions in a team setting, and who benefits from this. So we're going to break this down. So what are the colors? For those of you that are not aware of them, there are 4 colors. They are the 4 basic personality types. And I say basic because every single one of us has a little bit of all 4 colors, but you're going to be predominantly one color. If you are even straight across the board, you're probably green and you're cheating. But we have red, blue, green, and yellow, and we'll get into those different ones. So red at a glance, I'm going to show you 3 different, what I call shades of red. This is the troublesome shade. So we're going to go from worst to best, because I always like to end with best, so that you can keep that in mind for each color. So troublesome shade of red. They tend to exhibit extreme insecurity, leaning towards sociopathic behavior. These people are moral islands. They are extremely forceful. They will do whatever they please in the moment and justify it later. They push hard. Some of the other color trainers say, reds are all about money. That's not necessarily true, but if you break it down to a base amoral that they're after, it is success, often in dollar signs. So if you move forward to a typical shade, this is normally what you'd see from a red. They're confident, they love challenges, they're driven, have a strong desire to win. They consider themselves to belong in society's elite. They like to dress well, they like to hang around with those that they consider able to either boost them socially, or if they can learn from them, they'll still hang around those as well. They like the limelight, garnering praise. So the final category is what I call the true shade. And these are reds that understand the full effect of their personality, the full power of it, and they're able to leverage it to the best of their ability with those around them. They're ethical winners. They have their strength under control. They no longer need the approval of others. They have a well-established self-image that allows them to move forward with their goals while keeping their awareness of the needs of those around them. Although they still love the attention of victory, they are very much sure to acknowledge those around them that are also achieving victory, not just keeping it to themselves. They're not hoarders any longer. So that would be a true red. Okay, let's look at blue. If you see a troublesome blue. Blues love fun, and they can be on the crazy side, so they tend to act without thought. They really don't pay attention to deadlines, timelines. If they make promises, it's made in the moment. They won't necessarily keep them, and I'm talking about a troublesome shade. They just won't pay that much attention to time or anything else that takes away from the fun of the moment. So the typical shade, these are spontaneous, fun-loving people. This is typically what you would see when you meet a blue. They can bring a bright spot to any occasion. They are the life of the party. They love adventure. They have a great sense of humor. They typically love to be the center of attention if they can. But they are excellent at motivating people. They will bring people to them. So a true shade, if you were looking at a true blue, these are people that are mindful of others' time. So they've overcome that selfish aspect of just whatever I want in the moment, just what I can have for fun right now. And they're looking at ways that they can positively impact others, that they can bring their fun outside of their own bubble and pull other people into it. And when you see somebody like that, you're going to see an amazing leader. And we have some of those in Young Living. We have some awesome blue leaders. And it's just a joy to be around them. Everybody flocks to them because they bring the party to everybody. They make everybody's life more fun. So that's a true blue. Let's look at green. Troublesome greens. I love greens. My dad's a green, so I love looking at greens. Greens tend to overanalyze things to the point of being unable to take the first step. You guys have heard of analysis paralysis? You guys heard of that? Yeah. That is a green's curse. They will overthink things to the point where it's almost a moot point. They might as well just put it down and wait till tomorrow and try it again, because it's just not going to happen. They don't accept anything on faith. They tend to be rather unforgiving. Now keep in mind, this is the troublesome shade, so we're going to go through. They get better, I promise. This is the ugly side. They have an inner need to win every argument and are not very social. They will take an argument to the nth degree, and they will take it personally if you argue past that point. So just keep that in mind. Remember what your relationship is worth going into an argument like that. So your typical shade of green, these are highly analytical thinkers. A few things change going from your troublesome shade to typical shade. And one thing that I will point out here that I've noticed is that as people improve in selflessness, you will see their shade of color improve as well. And I honestly think it's because they begin to use their strengths for others, not against others. And that's a big shift. So we're going to look at that a little bit as well. These are practical realists. They still very much prefer fact over opinion. They want to read all the reviews on the products. When you go on Amazon, it's hilarious, and I challenge you guys to do this, because if you look through the reviews on Amazon, you can pick them out. You'll have your blue that writes a review that's like, this was great, 5 stars. You have your red that's like, worked, love it. Then you've got your green that's like, well, okay, as advertised, here's what I found. I give it 4.2 stars. But that's okay. They take it very seriously. They also take their reputation very seriously, which is why a green will spend a lot of time looking into something to make sure they know what they're talking about before they open their mouth. So they're also very, very powerful to have on a team. They're extremely loyal. So a true shade of a green. They love a well-thought-out plan, but they don't let the absence of a perfect plan prevent them from moving forward. They will go ahead and move forward with trust that that plan is going to bring them to where they want to be. So, moving forward, their strength is the ability to stand firm on principle in the face of any opposition. And I challenge anybody to find me a green that isn't that way. When they make a moral decision, when they stand firm, they're not moving. And you are not going to convince them to move. They have thought it over 100 times. They've decided that that's their stance, and it's done. Okay, we've got one more to look at, and I know I'm kind of breezing through these, but a lot of you are familiar with them already. Yellow. Troublesome yellows. They're very emotionally insecure. They tend to avoid conflict just about at any cost. They do not like conflict. Even if the results are unhealthy, they still don't want to go through it. When their bottled up emotions finally go, though, look out. Because it's worse than a red when they finally go boom. It can be really, really bad. Primarily because when they bottle it up, it turns into bitterness. So it goes from anger, but because they don't want to let that out, they don't want to talk about it because that's going to cause a fight. They don't want that. So they'll bottle that all up, and it'll increase the pressure until it finally goes boom. And yellows have, I'd say greens probably have the longest memory, but yellows have a pretty long memory too. And so they'll save it up. All right, a typical shade. And this is typical of most yellows. You're not going to see that troublesome shade extremely often. At least I haven't. I typically see friendly, loyal, honest people. Yes, they thrive on team activities. They love family outings. They're all about the people. All about the people. They're turned off by materialism. They don't need things. They need people in their lives. So they prefer a simpler life, avoiding conflict. And I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I can say with my team and quite a few of the teams that I have done talks with, there is about a 60 to 70% ratio of yellows in the team. Heavy concentration, especially in our field. We're dealing with health and wellness. We're dealing with keeping people healthy and the body's natural ability to stay healthy. That inspires yellows. That is something that yellows flock to because they know people that they can help. They know people they love. They want to be healthy. So that is yellows at a typical glance. So here's your true yellow. And there are leaders in Young Living that are very true yellows. They're fantastic individuals. They know how to express their emotions and opinions in a way that remains friendly and empathetic without being too sympathetic in the moment. They're capable of tough love and know that they can only help those who truly want to change. That's the biggest hang-up with a lot of yellows. They think that they can love somebody into change. And, frequently you can be there for somebody, but until they're ready, they're not going to make that change. I like to say you can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. So you can be there and be open and be ready, but until they're ready. And a true yellow is going to understand that. They're also going to be able to separate criticism from personal hurt. They're going to be able to take criticism in their business or in their personal life and understand that that isn't a personal attack. It's just the person saying, I don't agree with you on this. And that is somewhat difficult for a yellow. So when they're able to properly respond to that, that's a great sign that you've got a true yellow there. So the master key questions. This is something that I came up with in long talks with my wife. We were talking about different personality colors, and this is the focus of the book that I wrote. Each color has a master key question that their mind filters everything through. And it's simple questions. When I was a kid, my mom used to always tell me, ask the basic questions about any situation. And those basic questions, I think you all know them. They're what? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Right? You ask those questions, it's going to lead you to an answer. So I started thinking about the different personalities and the way that they filter and hear things. And we had quite a few conversations with other individuals, and I would say something, and they would respond in a manner that let me know pretty quickly what I had tried to get across didn't work. We started calling it air traffic control failure. You know, those airplanes hit mid-air, and it was bad. That was not what was intended. So I started thinking about the different ways that our minds filter what we say and what we hear. So communication is most effective when both people understand the color that the other is coming from and form their speech to match. Elevated communication is not just about seeing it from the other person's perspective. Because show of hands, how many people have been told that? You need to see it from the other person's perspective if you really want to make it effective, right? We all have, I think. But what does that really mean? That means listening and understanding and speaking from that person's perspective, not just seeing it from the person's perspective. So there's a little bit more involved in not just listening to the words, but listening to the reasoning behind the words, listening to why the person chose that word. So there's 4 phrases here that I outlined, and each one of these phrases is written from one of the color perspectives. So I'm going to list all 4 of these, and then I'm giving you a heads up, because I'm going to ask for a volunteer to guess the colors on the 4 of them. And for the brave soul who gets it, I've got a signed copy of the book up here if you guys want. So, here's the first phrase. I am most satisfied when I'm in control of decision making, because whatever the outcome, I know that I will do my best.
Red.
Green.
Maybe I should go one at a time. Okay, you know what? Let's do these one at a time. Because I'm not going to show you the answers till we go a little bit further in the slides. So, okay. So this is phrase A. Somebody raise their hand if they think they know what color this is. I saw your hand up first.
I believe it's red because I think that.
Okay, so you said red. You get your choice. M-grain or clarity?
Clarity gives me headaches, but I'm going to have to go with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here comes phrase B. I believe there should be a compelling reason to do anything in life, and life is too short for regrets. There's you right there. Striped shirt, yep. Blue? You're right. M-grain or clarity? M-grain? Okay. Here, I'll run this one down here. Okay. There is the third phrase. I saw her arm shoot up immediately. Green. You are correct.
I know what the last one was.
Yeah.
I was the first with my hand up for the last one.
Back myself
Waiting
into
for it.
that one. Okay. Clarity or M-grain? Okay. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yellow.
Okay. So who yelled yellow? Be honest. You? Okay. I've got end grade up here for you. I am still going to give away a copy of the book, but I'm going to change it up in a few minutes. So we're going to keep you on your toes. There you go. You're welcome. Okay. So now do you want to read the yellow phrase? I want to be sure that I consider others first in my decisions and hope to bring unity and peace through my actions. Now you guys will notice the order of the colors was predictable. That's on purpose, and we're going to get into that in a little bit here. I did back myself into a corner with that. That was funny. Okay, so here's a look at all four side by side, so you can see the four different phrases. These are kind of a blend between true and typical. You're going to see this. If someone is true, they're definitely going to apply to all these. Typicals are probably going to fit into this role as well. Troublesome, not so much. Mainly because they're going to be more oriented towards selfish behavior. Okay, so now we're going to get into the master key questions. We're going to start with red again. Red's master key question is what? A red is going to ask, what do I get out of it? What do I have to do to get it? What can you offer? What's it worth to me? Very bold, very blunt questions, but that's how they process stuff, is on a what basis. What is it?
You're going to have to message me about that because I have not heard any info about that. So find us on Facebook and send us a message.
I'm talking specifically about positive team building right now. I realize that there's times that reds are going to be wrong, and it doesn't mean you can't call them on it. But if you're trying to build positively in a team aspect or trying to share with others that are reds, this is good stuff to know, because this is how you're going to appeal to their personality type. So focus on what they do right and they're good at, play to their strengths, praise their achievements, enable their independence, and offer lots of third-party resources. Reds do not like to have to point up the chain of command to where something came from. So give them their independence. Give them a third-party resource. Give them something they can point somebody back to and take that credit for themselves, having learned it. Sounds arrogant, but it's true. I'm a red, I can say that. A true red. The determining factor for a true red is to remember that their strengths should never be leveraged against others, but rather applied to bolster others as they journey alongside them. This is very important because a red can bowl you over faster than just about any other color. They can run roughshod really quick over a situation, and a true red has to realize that strength and that drive can't be leveraged against moving somebody. You guys have all heard it from a bunch of the great trainers. You can't push a rope. You get out in front and you pull a rope. And a red is the strongest when they're out in front pulling that rope and showing people their drive to win and bolstering and helping their team come alongside and go with them. So blues, their master key question is why? Think about fun and fulfillment. Blues have to have a reason for everything. How many classes are taught out there about finding your why? You guys have seen them all. That's not always the case, depending on what your color switch is, what your personality switch is. But for a blue, if they don't have a why that outweighs the work it's going to take to get there, they won't do it. They won't do it. They've got to have a reason. Why should I pay attention to this? Why do I need this? As far as blue's concerned, they're trading valuable moments of their life for whatever it is you're offering. So make it worth it to them. Consequences do not necessarily determine actions. Blues might look at the consequences and say, yeah, but that's tomorrow. So keep focused on the excitement, the possibilities. Optimism is the key to success with a blue. Keep it exciting, keep it optimistic. Don't get hung up on too many details because you'll crush them. They're just not there. They don't care about the details as long as it's entertaining and fun. That's what they're after. So a true blue. The determining factor for a true blue to remember is to focus their drive for fun on helping others enjoy life as much as they do. You're going to see an excellent blue leader when you see somebody that makes it fun for everybody around them, not just for themselves. If they can spread that fun and they're effective at that, they're going to have an awesome following. So greens. The how. I love greens. They're system-driven, fact-oriented, and they want to know all about how it works. How do they benefit from it? How good are the reviews on the product on Amazon? How did it work when you got it? How was it shipped? They want to know everything about how. That's how they function. That's how they filter. Keep things detailed, research-oriented, emphasize third-party resources, and this isn't just so that they can take the glory for it. This is so that you can prove to them that you know what you're talking about. Because it didn't just come from you, it came from other sources too. That's important to them. They don't want to follow a one-man band. They want to follow proven systems. So be sure that you've got your third-party resources lined up to help a green realize the truth of the matter that you're talking about. Encourage action, even if the plan isn't perfect. Offer constant educational options and insights. If there's anything education-oriented coming up, whether it be a Periscope or anything else, get them on it because they want that continued education, that continued information to continue to process everything. And Greens love to have an arsenal of facts lined up. So if somebody questions something, boom, fact number 1. Go ahead, come on, keep coming. Boom, fact number 2. Come on, I got a whole arsenal, let's go. So give them as much as they can handle, they'll love it. A true green. The determining factor for a true green to remember is to engage in action despite an imperfect plan. Get up and go. It doesn't have to be perfect. You will figure it out along the way because that's how your brain works. Develop the ability to work with and through those around them without trying to recreate them. That is a big pitfall with greens, is the tendency to try to reform those around them to fit the image of how they think they should be, how they think they should work. A lot of them see a system and they see a way to improve it. And it's very difficult when others don't necessarily want to be improved upon. My wife and I learned that in marriage. It was a rough lesson at times. We're better off for it now, though. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we've got yellows. Yellow's master question is who? They're servant-minded, people-oriented, mentors, helpers. Who can I help with this? Who's going to be there to support me? Who benefits from me doing this? I remember when we first started with the business and we started having people ask us, if I sign up, who benefits from this? To me, as a red, that's a baffling question. Not only do I not know when I first signed up, I don't care. But it was important to a yellow, so it's important to understand that that's something that they're trying to process. When I sign up, who benefits from this? Make sure that's answered in their mind, so they're at peace with that. As long as they're at peace with themselves in the structure of the business, you don't have any worries. They fulfill an excellent role. They are the mortar in the team. So a true yellow. The determining factor for a true yellow to remember is that criticism and rejection should not be taken personally. They are strong enough to love through hurt while allowing consequences to play out. And you'll see team leaders that will exemplify this, that they don't take things personally. They have the ability to be strong. And their love of the people is what drives their business. That keeps them going. So the 4 phrases reworded. Trying to decide how to do this giveaway. Yeah, I'll give us a thought. We'll keep going here. Okay, so I'm most satisfied when I'm in control of decision making because whatever the outcome, I know I will do my best. That is red. I am most satisfied when I'm in control of what is going on around me. That's that master key question I'm hearing again. Blue. I believe there should be a compelling reason for why I do anything in life so that I don't regret it. Can you guys see how that fits in? How the why question fits in? Greens. I have determined that careful consideration and an understanding of how things will work is necessary before making a decision. So there's your how. And last but not least, I want to be sure to consider who my decisions will affect so that I can bring as much unity and peace through my actions. So my point behind these 4 phrases is that even though those words were not used in the original phrases, when you understand and begin to think about these 4 words as a filter for each one of the personalities, you're going to start to see that it was phrased the same way. It's just a simple substitution of a couple words, but it's still got the same exact feeling was provoked from the previous phrase as the reworded phrase. It still had the same effect, which means that it isn't so much about the word, but the effect of the word. So thinking about these words as a filter is what this is all about. So let's talk about proper application. Understanding ourselves and our color is just the beginning, because we all have teams. That's why we're here. That's why we're studying. We are a blend of the 4 colors, and when you understand that, it becomes a lot easier to understand having a team that's also a blend of the 4 colors. This is a blessing to have all 4 colors, and here's why. Because every red is going to burn out. They may move at the speed of light, but they will burn out. But they'll also take on a challenge that some of the other colors would not necessarily take on. They'll either overthink it or shy away from it. Red will pretty much just go. Figure it out. Fly by the seat of your pants. Every blue is going to get distracted by different things in their life. But they're going to bring life to the group. So the blue is going to keep people excited. Every green is going to overanalyze things, but they're going to find a way to systematize. They're going to find a way to help with the how everything works for your team. Every yellow is going to get intimidated, but they're going to add heart to the team. So each one of these aspects is really important if you want to build a cohesive team. You've got to have all 4, not 1. And the point of this book is to kind of help people realize that just because you're comfortable in one personality color doesn't mean you stop there. Because you have to be able to reach out and understand and communicate with the other personality colors that end up in your team if you expect to grow to your highest heights that you can manage. So, different strengths offset others' weaknesses. A well-balanced team will lead to full-spectrum success. So let's talk about the reason this matters. The goal of a team leader is not to patronize or pursue any one color, but to help everyone within their team to their highest potential and truest form of their color, their personality color. Understanding the colors of questions helps leaders to identify strengths and weaknesses, because if you know from troublesome shade straight through true shade what you're expecting from a certain color, you will start to identify, when someone says something, it may come from a troublesome side of their personality, and instead of taking that personally, you understand where that came from, which makes it much easier to put it in proper perspective for dealing with that person, not allowing it to bug you so much. You can kind of frame it and realize where it's coming from. It promotes a give-and-take mentality to conversation because it's about listening. It's about paying attention to that person. It supports an individual's confidence in stepping out of their comfort color to help others from their own color. Team mechanics. This is the ability of any team to communicate and function together toward goals that are larger than any one individual can accomplish, which in our network marketing world is essential. Because I'm sure you guys have heard, we operate with a volunteer army, right? So even though we may think we're Napoleon, we're not. Everybody can leave. They can leave us standing there by ourselves for the charge. So understanding the different personalities and understanding proper communication can help us rally the troops and keep the volunteer army together focused toward a common goal. But this does require inspiration from all of the colors. So here's a look at team mechanics when you look at each of the individual colors. You have red. They are the achiever. With the achiever, you've got inspiration through leadership. They're not afraid to take charge. They're not afraid to tell people what to do. They just have to be careful on that last one, not to be a little too bossy. You have blues. They're the motivator. That's inspiration through charisma. They're going to rally the troops for fun. They're going to keep things vibrant and healthy and flowing. You have green, the strategist, inspiration through planning. They will figure out how to make it happen, and they're not afraid to do that. So employ them in your team, helping you figure out how to make things happen and go forward with something. But make sure the parameters are lined up. Don't just throw them a, how do I get a bigger team? That's not a good way to handle a green. You need to throw out specific parameters that you're trying for, and they will help you fine-tune it into a system and help you move forward from there. Yellow is the encourager. They have inspiration through teamwork. They are, as I mentioned before, the mortar that holds all the bricks of the team together. Without yellows, you're high and dry. You need them. But you have to be personable with yellows, and you have to make sure that they're fed. Because yellows need constant feeding. They need constant interaction. They need constant love. They need to know that they're appreciated. And as long as they are, they're there for you. And they will help you build. So pursuits. You can identify certain people by their pursuits, by what motivates them. If you have a pursuit that's a goal or an object that somebody's after, they're probably a red. If they're after purpose in their life, or fun, or entertainment, they're probably a blue. If they're after a method or a plan of getting someplace, they're probably a green. And if they're after a team or helping others, they're probably a yellow. So when you talk to people about what they want out of life, it is interesting how you'll kind of see them sort themselves by color based on what their pursuits are. And, they may say that they want to make more money. And you ask them why they want to make more money. And they have a special purpose that they're after. They want to help children overseas, or they've got a specific purpose that they find just thrilling to them. You're either dealing with a yellow or a blue right there. With a couple more questions, you're going to be able to determine whether that person is blue or whether they're yellow. So, let's move forward a little bit. A true team. The key to building a true team is learning and teaching the art of listening. Not just hearing the words spoken, but listening for the reason the question's being asked or the statement is being made. And this is where the real art of it comes in. And the book is basic, but it does help you kind of frame your mind for listening to people. And when you really truly open your mind and listen and don't just hear words in and spit an answer out, you'll get a feel for where their heart's at. And when you can connect on that depth, you'll be able to not only help them, but they'll be able to help you. So let's talk about presentation, because that's one thing that all of us have to do. In some form or another, we are presenting. Whether it's a one-on-one, or whether we're doing a class, or whether we're doing a presentation like I'm doing tonight. The goal of the presentation is to connect with as many people as possible. And obviously, in a room like this, I can ask everybody to raise hands if you know what color you are. But I can't identify for certain, for sure, what color anybody is in the room. Not right off the bat. So in larger settings, there is an order to things. And this I mentioned earlier. This is why I have the colors in this specific order for presentation. What is it? You start right off the bat with the reds, because they're the most impatient group. They want to know what this is about right now. Hey, I'm a red. I can say that. It doesn't offend me. It shouldn't offend you. I doubt it offended any reds out there. You're probably hoping I just hurry up and get on with it. So, clues. Why do I care? Why do I care about what you're trying to tell me about here? They get bored quickly. As I look out there, if I start seeing people doodling sheep or Snoopy on their page, they're probably a blue, and I've probably already lost them. Greens, how does it work? Greens are going to wait around longer than the reds and the blues because they're analyzing everything. They look for the chance to tear you apart. No pressure. They just want to be very sure that they've gotten everything they can get from you before they do that. So yellows, they will wait around the longest in a presentation because they have the most patience. They don't want to offend the person speaking or those around them, so they'll sit through it the longest. So it is important to keep it in this order so that by the time you're done presenting, you have hit each of the colors at a strategic point in your presentation so they feel like they have gotten something from it. They've been fulfilled in their time that they're investing in you. So closing with yellow is also very, very good because you give yourself the most closing and referral material to end with. When you end a presentation, you say, who can they help with it, with what they've just learned? Who's going to be there to support them? Perfect opportunity to present yourself as a team and those on your team and help them understand that they're going to have support. Who do they know that can benefit from what you've just talked about? How many people love referrals when you do a meeting or you sit down with somebody and you say, who else wants to know about this? Who do you know that can use this? Absolutely. Of course. It's good closing material. So end with the yellows because it's also smart for closing. So in conclusion, communication is one of the most precious gifts given to mankind. It's extremely important. Every conversation that we have with individuals or with groups is a chance to achieve full spectrum success. And full spectrum success, as I defined it in the book, is just the ability to have the deepest level of communication between personalities that you possibly can. So 2 questions remain out of the 6 that we talked about before. And those are where and when. And only you can answer that. Where and when are you going to implement this in your team and in your communication? And of course, I urge you to begin today, begin now. Start playing with it. It's actually really fun. I'll give you a really short testimonial. I talked to a lady on our team. I went through this, and she's a red. And she was in the middle of a construction process. They were building a second home on their property, and I was talking to her, and she said, I had my daughter take the test. She's 22, and she came up and she was a yellow. And so I was fascinated by all this, but not totally sold, kind of thinking about this. So I was talking to her about the construction process, and she came in, and she's yellow, and she looks out the window, and she said, okay, so they dug the well today, and they got the foundation set, and she says, I can just hear it coming. Right? She's red. What does she hear coming? Okay, here's a chance. Here's a chance for the book. What does she hear coming? What question does she hear coming? I saw a hand.
What do I care?
So, you want it? Okay. What question does she hear coming? She said, the well's been dug, the foundation's been laid, so what is she expecting?
What's next?
What are you done?
What's next? There you go.
She said that.
Did she?
Yeah.
Well, fine. She can have a copy too. So she's expecting to hear what's next. And her daughter looks out the window, looks at everything, and then turns to her and says, so who's coming tomorrow? And it just floored her. She called me, she said, I can't believe she asked that. I would assume she's going to ask, what's next? She's asking, who's coming tomorrow? I said, she's a yellow. She doesn't care about what's going to be accomplished. She's interested in who's showing up tomorrow. This will be fun. So it's just a matter of listening and paying attention to the patterns that we tend to repeat through our personality and through our communication. So that's all I've got for you tonight. I do have the opportunity for you guys to take the colors quiz on the website. If you want to learn more, you can scan that QR code. That'll take you to jacobadellman.com, where there is the quiz as well as a chance to learn more about the book. So thank you guys so much for coming and spending an hour with me.